Okay, so we are recording. And hello, my name is Jay. I'm a board member of Grace Roots, the nonprofit organization that is putting on this talk, sponsoring this talk this evening. And thank you very much to our special guest, Travis Boersma, who is being our Be Strong talker this evening. We do these chats. We try to do them about once a month or once every couple of months. We were doing them in person down at Tap Rock prior to the virus getting in the way earlier this year. So now we've been doing these on Zoom the past couple of months. Anyway, so just a reminder to everybody, please keep your devices on mute until a little bit later in the session when we will allow some questions for our guest. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Stephen Rotter, who is going to provide a little introduction to what we're doing and to our guest speaker this evening. So go ahead, Stephen.
Okay, thanks, Jay. Let's see. Well, Jay covered pretty much most of what I was going to say. So just a little bit about the Be Strong series that Grace Roots is putting on. We have a monthly speaker who shares their recovery story with us as a means of inspiring and lifting and sharing what their story is, so that others that are trying to complete another chapter in their recovery can move to a new level. So today we have Travis Boersma from Dutch Brothers, and he's probably one of the biggest celebrities in town. I don't think he needs any more introduction than that, and I'll just hand it over to you, Travis. Thanks for being here.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. It's a pleasure to be here on the call, and want to reiterate my appreciation for everything that you guys do in this area. It's so important to our community, and it's something that I don't make light of whatsoever. So thank you for all of your efforts. I guess I'll just start off with sharing a little bit of history. I grew up here in Grants Pass. It's my hometown. I've been a few places, haven't been everywhere by any means, but this is home. And I proclaim myself to be the luckiest man to ever live. I've got a beautiful wife, 4 boys, ages 17, 15, 13, and 11. And, as I grew up, I had the great fortune of having parents who loved me, cared for me, and provided all the essentials and principles and values that I carry with me today. I have 3 siblings. My older brother, Dane, my late brother, Dane, who passed with ALS in 2009, older sister, Renda, and my younger sister, Carly. So, the way of life that I got to enjoy growing up was on a farm, dairy farm, intimate family setting, a lot of hard work, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you never know what could go wrong, and lo and behold, it was always something. So you just got to be prepared for any kind of problem or challenges that you could face, and you face it with your best foot forward, and you play the hand that you're dealt to the best of your ability. You get through it, and the cows don't wait to get milked. They get milked twice a day, and man, even on holidays, nobody takes a break. So trying to navigate that path and really understand what it was like to deal with is something that I wanted to have and provide for my own kids one day, but it's come in a different form, in a different shape. And I guess what seemed devastating at the time back in 1990 turned out to be a blessing in disguise, with the dairy farm struggling financially, and requirements that were imposed by Department of Environmental Quality, and rules and challenges, problems that surfaced that, you really didn't know how to come up with a good answer. And the answer that my family decided on was, we'll sell the cows and transition. So that occurred, and my brother, being 17 years older than me, 38 at the time, I was 21, he looked at me and said, "Hey man, I don't know. I'm going to have to maybe go get a job at Walmart or Fred Meyer." And I kind of looked at him and smirked and kind of gave him a funny look. And I just said, "Well, you know, dude, why don't we do something? Why don't we do one of these business ideas that we've talked about over all these years? I mean, if that don't work out, you can always go get that job." And, you know, he said, "Well, what do you think?" You know, and I said, "Well, I don't know." You know, I came up with this idea. I said, you know, you know, back when I was going over to school at SOSC at the time, which is SOU now, over in Ashland, I was going in the morning, and, you know, I'd get a cafe mocha, usually to cure a hangover from partying and the social life that I got to enjoy. And as I kind of acclimated to coffee, that was a way that started to show up on the West Coast here in its infancy, really. And I said, "What if we opened like an espresso cart, you know, maybe an espresso bar?" And he goes, he didn't even know what espresso was. So, you know, one thing led to another. I started doing the homework and the research, and I finally, you know, had the conversation with Dan in more of a serious manner. And if anybody remembers the old bistro restaurant in town, Dan went there to enjoy a meal with his family that one of those nights, and they had espresso on the menu, and so he thought he'd order one, and they brought it out in a little short Dematasi cup, and it had a nice layer of crema on the top, and he looked at it, and he wasn't really much of a coffee drinker outside of maybe Folgers with flavor crystals and things like that, but you know, he kind of took it and he took a nip off of it. And I mean, it was bitter as hell and acidic. And I mean, he was like, "What the?" My brother cooked his rocks, you know. I mean, he's over there at SOSC and partying like a nut. And you know what? I mean, that's a terrible idea. So he came home and let me kind of have it in a unique way, in his way that was about as mild manners as you could ever imagine. The guy was probably the most selfless, tolerant man I've ever known. And at that time, not only was Dane my brother, he was my best friend, and he was, you know, soon to be my business partner. And later in life, I found out, you know, really he was my mentor. So, you know, I got him to get in the car. We went down to a little place called Western Espresso with an X. And a little old lady by the name of Bonnie was working, and I'd been frequenting the place, and I'd cruise through there and get a vanilla latte. And she was like the hostess of the mostest, man. I mean, she had this big smile. She's kind of oaky, barefoot, but she knew your name. And when I pulled up with Dan in the car, she said, "Hey, Trav, you know, what would you like?" And I said, "Well, you know, can you hook up 2 vanilla lattes for us, Bonnie?" And she said, "Yeah, no problem." And she kind of went over, and she only had this one group machine. So she whipped it up and handed me the one. And then she continued on, and I was paying attention to her and dealing with the transaction, gave her the money, and I got mine, and I looked over, and Dane had taken off his lid, and he was licking the milk foam off of the lid. And he looked at me, he's like, "Dude, this is like unbelievable." And I'm like, "That's what I'm talking about, man." And so Dutch Bros was born out of a problem and challenge. And what seemed kind of, like I said, devastating at the time turned out to be this blessing in disguise. But let me be very frank. It didn't come without a ton of hard work, a ton of adversity, and a lot of trials and tribulations along the course of the road. So Dan had picked up a book. It was a Tony Robbins book, Unlimited Power Within. And that book, it moved him so much, it brought tears to his eyes. And he shared with me that, you know, we need to sit down and talk about where we were and what we intended to do. And you know, in the infancy of Dutch Bros, we really, you know, he had the wisdom, you know, 3 kids, 38 years old, life experience. He had a Dairy Queen when he was 22, great experience to draw from, and a tremendous amount of work ethic, running the family farm for about 15 years. So I looked up to him in a big time way, and we sat down on the living room floor of his mobile home, We cracked that book open. We did some goal setting, 1, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20-year goals without limits, no limits whatsoever. And, you know, as you capture things that come to mind, you fight yourself over it because you got things floating around in your mind and you're kind of going, well, that seems unrealistic. Well, write it down, you know, and well, that seems so far-fetched. That'll never happen. Write it down. Well, you know, gosh, I mean, I don't need that much money. I don't need this. I don't need that. Well, it isn't about that. What could occur? What could be out there? Anything that you can think of. And by about an hour and a half of kind of going through this exercise and really wringing it out, you know, and getting everything out of your mind that you can possibly think of, just capturing like an inventory of your dreams or any kind of thing that you could ever imagine, you know, then, you know, you've exhausted all efforts and then the drill, the exercise, I'll never forget. It was, okay, now exchange that, you know, with somebody. And so he exchanged his stuff with me and I exchanged my stuff with him. And, you know, I mean, then you start laughing your ass off at each other and you look at each other and you go, come on, man, really? You know, some of this, like I had helicopter pilot on there, you know, I was going to marry the most beautiful girl in the world. I was going to have a family, and that actually came true. The helicopter thing didn't work out, but, you know, there was stuff that we just, you know, I mean, you know, sites throughout the 11 Western United States, west of Mississippi, you know, there was stuff that just seemed so unrealistic. And then the next step was, you know, take and put a timetable next to it, 1, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And, you know, then, you know, it was kind of like you almost, because you wrote it down, because you exchanged it, it was in your subconscious mind. We didn't, you know, write it on a mirror. We didn't go get tattoos. We didn't do any of that stuff. But because we'd exchanged it, it was almost like we had made this huge step in a direction toward each and every one of those things. And little did I know at the time what kind of an impact that would have, but I really think it had a significant amount of really kind of a piece to the puzzle that really kind of had to do a lot with where we would end up going and where we are today. And out of that session came another little piece of it, and it was called the ultimate success formula. It was know your specific outcome and get really specific about it. Take massive action toward it. Ask yourself if the action you're taking is working. And if it's not, change it until it does. And that's something that we just kind of incorporated into our day-to-day life, both personally and professionally. And little did I know we were well on our way. So the Tony Robbins intro kind of opened up a ton of great avenues and in all these different books and all these different people that had done different things. And you know, as we learn more about human behavioral characteristics, we became students, and we perform exercises even with customers. You know, you see a customer come in and they look pissed off or they're down in the dumps, and you put music on that you thought maybe they'd like, or you talk about things that maybe you thought that they'd be interested in. And our goal was to change their state of mind and have them leave with a smile. And when you found success with that, it almost became contagious. So this idea of really studying human behavioral characteristics, that became something that I think not only did we have a lot of fun with, but I think we incorporated it into our business in a significant way. And I would love to just kind of share one of these things that I think may resonate on this call with everyone. And the one thing about Tony Robbins is, you know, I mean, the guy is just a guy, right? I mean, he's bigger than life, and he's got, you know, big teeth, big head, big smile, everything's big. Well, he had a pituitary gland problem, honestly, that had him growing it at this rate that made everything like larger for him. So, you know, I'm sure that served him in a lot of ways. in his life. And I won't get into detail, but the one thing that I would say is he's just a guy. He's just a man. He's just like any one of us. And every one of us are flawed. But what he had a gift with is taking great information from all sorts of different people that had tremendous history and experience and bringing that into a context that was easy to learn. So a guy that he looked up to named Jim Rohn, and you can look up that name. You may want to Google it. It's Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N. He was a guy that had a profound impact on Tony's life, and he had, really kind of came up with this 6 human needs. And the 6 human needs, every one of us have. We probably, or we do have them in different orders, but it's love or connection, it's significance, it's growth, it's contribution, it's certainty or security, and then the last one would be variety. And like I said, they're not in any significant order, but we all have these 6 needs. And so as I kind of learned about it, and as I kind of really did some of these exercises, I realized what kind of order I had mine in a prioritized fashion. And I know part of the question on this call is like what my routine is. And I got to be honest, I hate routine. I'm a variety nut. I love variety. So I've got love and connection is number 1. And right under that is variety. And then, I love growth and contribution, and certainty, security are important, but man, they're way down the list for me. And significance is important too, probably. But, it's one of those things that, is you can get that need met in a lot of different ways. So and by the way, all of those needs they can be met in positive or negative ways. And I'll use a couple of examples to share. So some of us, have had our struggles and have had our demons, and whether it's alcohol or cigarette or abuse or whatever it may be, usually when you've got somebody who's like, let's just say somebody who abuses people, they may not know why they do it, and they may feel horrible about it, and they may apologize and they'll say they'll never do it again. But what happens is they get needs met. And so, on a 0 to 10, if someone's holding a gun to your head, how significant are they? Well, they're a 10. How connected are you? You're connected as a 10. What kind of, variety could be going on, or what kind of contribution or growth could be going on in that space? Or, if you have 3 or more needs getting met, whether it's healthy or unhealthy, it's addictive. And a lot of people don't realize that when you're drinking with your pals and you find yourself, dependent on alcohol or smoking a cigarette, generally you're getting 3 of those needs met or more, and it becomes challenging. It becomes really difficult to break that pattern because you just become addicted to it. And I would love to share this with you guys because I had some of my own challenges, and I woke up one day with a DUI, and I earned it the old-fashioned way, and and I kind of had to take a good hard look at myself and say, well, do I have a real issue here? And the first thing that I thought of was, well, no, I don't. And certainly that's probably denial. And the reality was, whether I did or I didn't, or I do or I don't, it really doesn't matter. I had done something that I really was disappointed in myself over, and it gave me an opportunity to kind of look within. And as I did that, I started to really understand that connection was something that I enjoy. I love socializing, and I don't need a social lubricant, but certainly a few beers or a few cocktails can lead to connection in a way that's when we're drinking together, you can almost kind of go to this deeper level or another level, and then the significance by having a cocktail or a beer or whatever it may be in your hand, that was a piece of that, and the variety that can happen with the laughter and the jokes and all the stuff that goes with it, is and the certainty, man. I mean, you got whatever maybe you really enjoy, you get that certainty out of it. So the only way for those addictions to be really fixed is to have as many of those needs met in a healthy way or more, so that you can offset it. And that's what I started to focus on is healthy ways to get needs met. And I would just suggest, like, and I didn't go to AA, but I thought about it immensely. AA is an organization that helps a lot of people, and I really admire them for what they do, because all 6 of those needs get met in a healthy way. They have meetings that are at certain times, so when they happen. You've got people in there that are going through the same thing, so there's connection, certainty, there's significance. You can share your story, you can help others. There's growth. You're progressing in your life. There's contribution with sharing and helping each other. And there's a lot of variety with the storytelling and the different things that you encounter. So whether that's AA or NA or any of these organizations, a lot of those needs get met in a healthy way. And you can go do that on your own as well as an individual. I mean, you can go out and you can, go for a run, or you can exercise. And there's a lot to be said for that activity, because it fuels you. You can listen to music, you can read books, you can do all sorts of different things and get needs met in a healthy way. I love to coach, and I love to contribute and help and guide young people in life, and some of those things I think really can offset some of the other things that maybe really do harm to not only yourself but maybe others. And so I share that very much in a vulnerable way. And for the sake of the call, man, I mean, I've got a sugar addiction that I continue to fight, and it's rough, man. And I will find it in various forms. And I've shared this with Archie many times over. I'm like, man, it's my nemesis. And I have not broke that. But I don't give up, and I continue to plow forward, and I'm a roller coaster, but I feel like you never arrive until you depart in this life, and the quest is to try to drive toward being that best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And man, sometimes you got to take 2 steps back to make 1 step forward. So for anybody who's been in a similar place, and I don't care what it is, whether it's sugar, or it's alcohol, or it's drug use, or it's something that is like abuse, or whatever it may be. I mean, it's never too late to start the day over, and we all have to learn and grow from the mistakes that we make. And I would just suggest this: problems and challenges that come our way are gifts, and if we see them as gifts and we look for the seedling of the equivalent advantage, then it can serve us, and maybe we can make a difference and share it with others. And I think the more that we focus on these type of things, the better and stronger we can be. And that's what I hope to do is make an impact with our youth. And with Dutch Bros, I've had the great fortune of enjoying a great journey. Almost all of those goals we accomplished in 20 years. It was kind of crazy to look back and think, but we did, and they didn't come without daunting challenges, a ton of adversity, a ton of pain. A lot of people think that there's just a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, or there's a free lunch, but the bottom line at the end of the day is success is not owned, it's rented, and the rent is due every day. And it's tough. And I don't give a damn if you've got the most money in the world or you're totally broke. You know, the struggle's real for all of us. We're all here on this planet as people. And, you know, these things apply to every single one of us in different ways. And, you know, certainly society can put things in different boxes, and you can say, well, God, you know, that addiction's horrible, and really, you know, that one's not. But the fact of the matter is usually it's the same behavioral characteristics, and usually it comes back to needs getting met in unhealthy ways with addiction. So I think if we could figure out a way to really focus on how we can form healthy addictions, it's a good thing. I picked up a book years ago. It was called The One Thing. And out of that book, if you do a certain thing for 66 days, it can be a habit. On day 67, it's probably the easiest it'll ever be, but it doesn't mean it won't be hard. And I've played with that, and it is rough to get through that, where you do something 66 days consecutively. But that's a study that came out of MIT. It's in the book, and you know, I think whether you want to quit something or you want to form a new habit, there's if you're able to commit to it for that kind of length of period, then you got a shot at really accomplishing it. And you know where you sit when you get to that day of 67. And man, it's I've done that. I've played with it. I've experimented with it, and you know, it's like I said, I've been a roller coaster. So I'll share this. I'll probably just close, I guess, with this thing that I do that is very important to me. It's sacred, and I'm thankful that I have it. I use it in times of challenge and chaos and difficulty, and I use it in times of celebration. And I think it's important, if you got anything out of this at all, my hope would be is that you'd create a mission statement for yourself, which gives you purpose, because purpose really is something that, you know, when the going gets tough, you can lean on it. And when you think that, you know, your shit don't stink, you got to be grounded again. And so my mission statement is, I, Travis Boersma, see, hear, and know that the purpose of my life is to be a loving, inspirational leader that defies the odds to be a force for God and a force for good. And I will meet the man that I am someday when I die, not the man that I could have been. And you know, I'm not perfect by any means, and nobody on this call or nobody on this planet is, but you know, that's what I drive toward. And I do fall down, and I try to pick myself up, dust myself off, and then continue to drive toward that mission, because I know it can make an impact in not just my life, my family's life, and the people I love and care about. And I think it's been of great value, and I just highly recommend that any one of you on the call, if you can just dig down deep and just start to write some things down, you know, and get to a place where, you know, it actually does move you in your heart, in your soul, and in your mind. And you know, I believe that you can go wherever you really want to go if you're really determined and you're willing to put in the time and use that little ultimate success formula and find your way. So with that, I'll close and open for questions.
All right, so I'll just ask everyone, whoever has a question, go ahead and unmute yourself, or if you're on camera, wave at me and I'll unmute you. And I guess I'll kick us off. Travis, how often do you when did you come up with your personal mission statement, and how often do you refer back to it when times get rough or when times get good, or how often do you reflect on that mission statement in the typical day-to-day?
Well, I incorporate it into my prayer to God. I try to pray every day, but I don't. And like I said, I struggle with routine. but you know, it happens multiple times a week. And there's times again where, you know, it'll be in prayer, but then it'll also be in adversity or turmoil. It may be when I'm doing a Trav talk for Dutch Bros. It may be, you know, in the morning when I get up and I'm ready to go tackle the day. So I use it often and multiple times a week is the answer. And I put it together in, I guess, probably 2006 or 7, somewhere in that neighborhood. But it's something that's really been beneficial.
Okay, somebody else, go ahead and unmute yourself. And Christine, go ahead and ask a question.
Yeah, hi, Trav. My name is Christine, and I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic addict. I start school in September. I'm going back to get a business degree. It's my goal, hopefully, at some point, to open up a community cafe, community-involved cafe. My question is, when did you know it was the right time to reach out and to start your goal?
Well, you know, I think for me, one of the things that, you know, we're all different, right? So some people are like, man, I really got to have a plan and I got to know every little detail of the plan to get to where I want to go. I'm cut from a cloth of like, if I say, you know, let's go to New York, I'm ready to just go. And I will just start going and I may not have the best plan. So, you know, when you start to look at maybe a business venture of some sort, I think understanding your own strengths and maybe most important, your own weaknesses, and then trying to shore up your weaknesses with people that are different, that have strengths in those spaces, that can help you to get there. So, you know, I'm lucky and I'm also very purposeful with who I have on my team so that, you know, when we go to New York, I'm not just packing my board shorts and my flip-flops. I'm mindful of the weather and where we're going to stay and how much money I need to bring and what that really looks like. But, you know, I'm going to New York, and if you don't take action toward it, you'll never get there. If you're waiting for the perfect plan, man, you know, I'd say take that step, man, just go. You know, don't wait too long. You know, there's a fine line and there's balance, but you know, really, you know, just go like hell toward it, man.
Right on. Thanks, Trav.
Okay, we're open for the next question. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask away.
Hello.
Go for it, Archie.
Hey, first of all, I want to
Yeah.
tell you, Travis, how much you mean to me, how much I love you, and thank you for sharing, brother. I think our community is so much better because we have somebody like you in it. Your heart is so big, and you do so much for so many, and I love your mission statement. I think if they don't take anything else away, but they go ahead and they say that I want to write a mission statement. Matter of fact, I challenge everybody to go ahead and do just that. Write a mission statement, like you said, because I think that's what you're about. That's your thread. And I want to just thank you for sharing that with us.
Heck yeah, man. Appreciate you too, dude.
All right, thanks, brother.
All right, we've got a number of people on the call. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question. Holly, you want to jump in?
I do. I have a quick question. I was just wondering if Travis has ever seen Tony Robbins in person, seen one of his talks.
I have, and I got to tell you, it's kind of a bittersweet big deal. So 2004, Dan and I bought tickets to go to one of his events. And for us at that time, it was pretty pricey. And then, you know, we had this big warehouse fire. And I don't know if you remember that, but, you know, it was like August 8th, 2004. And my wife was pregnant with my second son. And literally we had more inventory on the floor ready for this growth spurt. And this fire took place. It was a dumpster fire. We'll never know if it was arson or cigarette butt or combustion. It was 108 degrees that day. And that thing burned to the ground and we lost everything. And so we tried to get our money back, but Tony was such a greedy bastard, he kept it. And we sent people in our place to go, and Dane and I stayed back. And so Dane never had the opportunity to go, but years later, as Dane was struggling late into ALS, and I was kind of burned out, and I was going through what I call the dark years of Dutch Bros and killing pain in a lot of different ways. I went and I talked to him, and that time he couldn't speak, and I just shared with him. I said, "Hey man, I don't know, you know, I don't know what we should do here. I don't know if I should sell the company. I'm concerned about the economy. I don't know what's going to happen here, but you know, I'm just torn, and I'm thinking maybe I should go like to one of those Tony Robbins seminars or something, man." And he looked at me and he smiled, this big bright smile, and it said 1,000 words. And that was a pivotal moment in our quest. And I went to every one of them. And so took team members, excuse me, and we dug down deep, and we really put the focus on the culture of the company, and we really understood what the purpose was. And you talk about mission statement personally, that came out of that in an extraordinary fashion. And then, you know, when we realized that we were in the relationship business, not just the coffee business, it was a game changer. Everything kind of went to a whole new level. We went to his first business mastery kind of thing, and it made a huge impact. And I'm so thankful that I had Nan in my life, because, you know, a lot of things that you go through that you don't, you know, none of us realized at the time what kind of an impact it was going to have. That was significant. So thanks for the question, but it hits me in my heart still today, as you guys can see.
Thank you.
Okay, who wants to jump in for the next question? Well, it looks like I get to ask another question, Trav.
Right.
By the way, we've got a lot of people on this call. To go ahead and unmute yourself and feel free to ask a question. Being a business person myself, I recently just left a job that I was at to help get a local business started. And so I have a sense of, you know, what you've been through over the years, especially when you were in your early years. You've made some major decisions along the way. You've recently made a very major decision as far as the business goes. Did you reflect on your mission statement and your values when you made the decision of taking on a major partner? And did you do that so that you could spend more time here in the community and focus on more of what's actually in your personal mission statement?
Well, I guess yes. The short answer is yes. Like I said, I kind of use the mission statement as something that that is part of my reality every day. But you know, when we got to this stage in the company where, you know, I'm looking at how we best grow, because I believe if you're not growing, you're dying. And so the company I kind of look at as my oldest son. And, you know, as I was, you know, I'm the father of this organization, and I'm the captain of the ship. And while I'm looking at it and I'm realizing that, you know, I've got to really figure out a way to bring more experience, more people in, more intellectual capital, and in ways that we never been there and done before, because the size of where we were at that time, and you know, trying to look at, you know, my family situation with my brother's side, and you know, like I said, you know, I'm a driver, so going to New York, man, I'm just going. It's like, you know, we'll figure it out. And so, you know, not all of us are wired that way. Be super mindful and respectful to Dane's side of the family throughout my whole quest. And that's something that's been vitally important to me. And as I assessed where we were on the map in our quest to, you know, keep this thing going and rocking and rolling, I realized that we needed some help, and we needed help in a lot of different ways. And you know, you kind of get to a level, and then the world becomes smaller at these other places. So I wanted to mitigate some risk. I wanted to make sure that Dane's side of the family was financially secure. I also wanted to make sure that all the people within the company had resources with infrastructure that could support the growth that we were undertaking as we go along. So, you know, that decision was something that I would say I'd point to that ultimate success formula on again. I'd say, okay, well, what's my outcome here? You know, and then what's my massive action toward it? And then is it working? Is it not? What do I need to change to get it? And so, you know, the vision of the company is a compelling future. It's a compelling future for people within it to have a ladder to climb that can be beneficial for a lucrative lifestyle in more ways than just money. And then maybe most importantly, a compelling future outside of the company where we can bring in people that work part-time, make great tips, have flexible schedule, but it serves them in their quest with wherever they may go and whatever they may do, whether they graduate with a college degree, they go to a trade school, they want to open their own business. But that compelling future piece with our vision is so important to me, and I care deeply about that. So all the people that are involved in it still have that way of tracking toward it. And with it, you know, it takes a lot of talent, skill, and people that really care about that vision. So the culture of the company is the differentiator. The vision is something that you never ever arrive to. And then the purpose, you know, I think purpose is so important. So, you know, that is kind of how I got to that place of making that decision. And sorry for the long-winded answer, but that's the whole enchilada.
No, that's great. We thank you very much for your openness tonight on the call, and your community support. There's so many different ways that you support this community and those that work for your company as well. So one related question on a more smaller scale, since these are called our Grace Roots Be Strong Talks, is there anything that you find yourself doing on a daily basis to be strong? Because being self-employed is really one of the hardest jobs that somebody can take on, and it gets really, really busy and exhausting at times. I know from both my current business and past businesses that I've had. So what, anything you do on a regular basis or a daily basis to be strong mentally or physically?
Well, you know, a lot of people need, you know, it's a wide pendulum for people, right? I mean, some people have a bunch of different things that they got to do for them to have a good day. For me, man, if I wake up, it's a blessing. I feel like, you know, I've been gifted this life, and I don't deserve the success that I've had all the time. And so, you know, just waking up in the morning, you know, a shower and brushing my teeth are pretty critical to the whole routine of things. And dang it, when I don't get one of those, man, I'm not as happy as I would be, but you know, I'm still able to put a smile on my face. It's just not as pretty.
All right. So are there any other questions out there? Now's your chance to get on video. We're hoping to post this, get this mixed up and post it on YouTube at some point soon. Anybody else want to get on our YouTube video before we get it up?
Yeah, okay.
Looks like we
My
have.
name's Raven. I just wanted to say thank you so much.
Heck yeah. Well, listen, for everybody on the call, these questions, I know they can be intimidating, and nobody wants to probably be on a YouTube video too often. I know it's not something that I look forward to, but the one thing I just share with the group is, you know, hang in there, know that problems and challenges are coming. I'm sure that everybody on this call has endured a ton of them. We all have our own stories, but you know, if you can flip those problems and challenges into a place where you realize that they're opportunities, they're gifts, and you can look that demon in the eye and slay it, you know, you go and find the seedling of the equivalent advantage. You go find the upside that can happen with a problem. It will set you free, I promise. And I just encourage you guys to try to drive toward being the best version of you that you can be, knowing that we're all flawed, that nobody here on this planet is perfect. And, you know, we're here to make an impact, and we're all here with gifts that God has given us. And I share this with full conviction in my heart and soul to everybody on the call. You know, maximize the moment and enjoy the journey of this life to the best of your ability, and count your blessing. We're all going to go someday. You don't get to pick when or how. My brother, he passed it at a young age, and I'm thankful for every opportunity that I had with him while I had it, and I'm still learning from him today. And I would suggest that, you know, every single one of us have people that are close to us in one way, shape, or form, even if they're on the TV screen and you admire them, you look up to them, you emulate them. You know, try to find people that have been there and done that. If you want financial freedom, if you want unbelievably passionate relationships, you want to be physically fit, you want to be whatever it is that you want to be, you want to have a great spiritual connection. There are so many millions of people that have lived before us, and there are books, and there are seminars, and there are resources at our fingertips more than ever in history. So, you know, use that phone, use that internet to your advantage, because it's so easy to just get sucked into a social media platform. But man, if you can go find some great nuggets and you pan for gold, and you're doing that your whole life, you'll find gold nuggets, I promise you. You're going to have a hell of a lot of mud, man, but get through it, find the gold, and put it in your pocket. And you know what? Maybe it doesn't have value today, but it may tomorrow. And I would just, that's something that I believe in. If there's anything probably that I do every day, I'm always looking for gold. I'm always looking for gold nuggets. What can I take away from each and every day, each and every person that I may or may not like? I may not like the meeting I'm in. I may not like the person I'm dealing with. But how can I learn something from them? What could I take away that's going to be beneficial, and how can I apply that in my life with my quest, with where I'm going? And how can I share it? You know, so the quality of the questions that you ask have everything to do with the quality of life that you're going to live. So that's what I'll leave you guys all with. I really appreciate you having me. I love you all, man. And I wish you all well.
That's awesome.
Well, thanks again, Travis. It's been a real pleasure, and thanks for being our guest speaker this month. And we'll be seeing you again soon. Thanks again, and thanks for everything you do for this community.
Right on. Thank you.
All right. Well, is there, Michelle, is there anybody else that wants to ask a quick question? Oh, looks like we're done. So if you want to
I
ask,
had a question.
I'm sorry. It looks like Travis is logged off. So we didn't look
Okay,
like we
that's okay.
didn't look like we had any other questions. But if you did want to ask a question, we can get the question to him.
Oh, that's okay, honey. It's okay. It was a great talk. Great hearing him. I'm glad to hear his story.
All right. Well, have a good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.